Lesson 3. Operations with fractions. Dividing fractions. The purpose of this lesson is to reinforce the rules of basic operations with rational numbers. Students will use fractions in division problems. Division with fractions often yields an integer as the quotient, and not another fraction. It is easy to confuse dividing fractions with multiplying them, especially when choosing an operation to satisfy a situation. How to divide a fraction. First, turn the fraction that you are dividing by upside down. It becomes a reciprocal, then just multiply. So right here we have 1/4 divided by 2/3. You keep 1/4 the same. When you see divided by 2/3, you change the 2/3 into its reciprocal, 3/2. You switch the numerator with the denominator. Then multiply. So we have 1/4 times 3/2. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 1/4 divided by 2/3 is 3/8. Dividing fractions by fractions. 4/5 divided by 2/3. 4/5 divided by 2/3 equals 4/5 times 3/2. Multiply the number by the reciprocal of the fraction. 4 times 3. First we can cancel out 4 into a 2, and this 2 into a 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. Now simplify it back into a mixed number. We have 1 and 1/5. Dividing fractions by mixed numbers. Change the mixed number to an improper fraction. 4/9 divided by 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2, 8/3. Multiply the number by the reciprocal of the fraction. 4/9 times 3/8. 4 times 3, 9 times 8. Both of these can reduce. This 3 becomes a 1, the 9 becomes a 3, the 4 becomes a 1, the 8 becomes a 2. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 2 is 6, 1/6. Dividing fractions by whole numbers. Change the mixed number to an improper fraction. 5 and 1/7 becomes 36/7. Divided by 6. Remember, whole number as a fraction is the whole number over 1. So we have 36/7 divided by 6/1. 36/7 times 1/6. Multiply the number by the reciprocal. 6/1's reciprocal is 1/6. That equals, the 6 can cancel out to a 1, the 36 to a 6. 6 times 1 is 6, 7 times 1 is 7, 6/7. How to divide fractions. Dividing fractions by whole numbers. We have 3 divided by -1/9. 3 times -9. The reciprocal of -1/9 is -9/1, which is the same as a whole number, -9. 3 times -9 is -27. Practice. Now we have 1/4 divided by 8/9. We know that's 1/4 times 9/8. 1 times 9 is 9. 8 times 4, 32. Does this reduce? No. The answer is 9/32. 4/3 divided by 3/2 becomes 4/3 times 2/3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. 8/9. 19/4 divided by 19 over 3, 19 over 4 times 3 over 19. The 19s can cancel out to 1 each. Therefore, the answer is 3 over 4. 3 times 8 over 17. The 3 is 3 over 1. 8 times 3 is 24, divided by 17. We now have to change this back into a mixed number. 17 goes into 24 how many times? Once, with the remainder of 7. 1 and 7 24ths. It does not reduce further. 5. 3/10 times 15. The reciprocal is 1 over 15. 3 and 15 can reduce. This becomes a 5. So we have 1 over 10 times 5, 60. First thing we do is we're going to change this into a improper fraction. 6 times 2, 12, plus 1, 13 over 6. So 5 over 9 times, if it's divided by 13 over 6, we know that it's going to be multiplied by 6 over 13. 6 and 9 can be reduced down to 2 and 3. 5 times 2 is 10. 13 times 3, 39. 10 over 39 is the answer. Now we have multiple. 6 over 5. 6 over 5 times 6 over 13 times 1 over 2. Now we can reduce 2, cancels out with one of the 6's, becomes a 3. Now the 3 and the 15 can cancel out. The 3 becomes a 1, the 15 becomes a 5. We now have 6 over 25. That is our answer. 16 over 5 times reciprocal of 7/5, 5 over 7. The reason we start here is you always work inside the parentheses first. Now we can cross out the 5's. They cancel to 1. We have 16 over 7. So we have 9/7 times, if we have divided by 16 over 7, we know it is times 7 over 16. The 7's cancel out, giving us the final answer of 9 over 16. (13 over 10) times 3 over 7, the reciprocal of 7 over 3, times 1 and 1/5 into a improper fraction becomes 6/5, but you find its reciprocal, 5/6. So we can cross out the 5 and the 10. 10 becomes a 2, 5 becomes a 1, 3 becomes a 1, 6 becomes a 2. We have 13 on the top. We have 3 times 2 is 14 times 2, 28. Now for number 10, convert them all into improper fractions. 4 and 1/3 is 13 over 3. Times 10 times 1 is 10, plus 1, 11 over 10. We use the reciprocal, 10 over 11, times 1 and 1/3 is 4/3, reciprocal, 3/4. The 3's cancel out. This 10 becomes a 5, and this 4 becomes a 2. And that is the lowest we can make it. 13 times 5 is 65. 11 times 2 is 22. We now have to convert this back into a mixed number. 65 divided by 22. 22 times 2 is 44. So we know it goes in 2 times. 65 minus 44 is 21. The answer is 2 and 21 over 22. Now, we're using compound ones now. 1/6 plus 2/3. First thing you do, find the least common multiple. So you need to change this 3 into a 6. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 1/6 plus 4/6. 1/6 plus 4/6 equals 5/6. We now have 9/10 divided by 5/6. So we know it's multiplied by 6/5. The 10 can become a 5. The 6 can become a 3. 9 times 3, 27 over 25 becomes 1 and 2 over 25. Lastly, we have 2/5 divided by 8/12, so we know it is 2/5 times 12/8. We use the reciprocal. The 2 becomes a 1. The 8 becomes a 4. So we have 12 over 20 times 3 over 7. So 12, 20, 3/7. 12 times 3, 36, divided by 20 times 7, 140. Let's find some open room. We're going to redo now that we have some room. So 2/5 times 12/8. Remember, we canceled out the 1, canceled that into a 4. 12 times 1 is 12. The bottom we have 5 times 4, 20, times 3 over 7. None of these can reduce. 12 times 3, 36. 20 times 7, 140. We want to reduce this down. The highest common factor for these would be, well, we know that both can be divided by 6, 30, 36, 42, 48, 60, 120, nope. If we divide both by 2, we have 18 on the top, 70 on the bottom. We can divide it by 2 again. 9 on the top, 35 on the bottom. So the highest common factor was a 4, giving us 9 over 35. Dividing fractions. Word problems. If you want to share 1 and 7/8 pizza with 3 people, how much pizza would each person get? Well, you have 1 and 7/8 shares 3. How much pizza for each? 1 and 7/8 divided by 3. First, make this into an improper fraction. 15 over 8 divided by 3 over 1 equals 15 over 8 times 1 over 3. You can cancel out 15 and the 3. The 3 becomes a 1. The 15 becomes a 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times 1 is 8. Everyone would get 5 and 5/8 of the pizza. 5/8 pieces. 5/8 pieces of pizza. The recipe you use to make holiday cookies uses 1 and 2/3 cups of flour for each batch of cookies. How many batches of cookies can you make with the 6 cups of flour? Well, 1 and 2/3 cups of flour, 1 batch of cookies. 6 cups of flour, how many batches? 6 divided by 1 and 2/3. 6 divided by 5/3. 6 times the reciprocal, 3/5, 18/5, or 3 3/5 batches of cookies. A tailor needs 3 2/3 yards of material to make a suit. How many suits can she make from 22 yards of material? 3 2/3 yards, 1 suit, 22 yards, how many suits? 22 divided by 3 2/3. 22 divided by the improper fraction of 3 2/3, 11/3. Find its reciprocal, 22 times 3/11, 6 suits. 22 times 3, 66, divided by 11 is 6. She can make 6 suits from 22 yards of material. You have 9/4 cup of jelly worms and a recipe that calls for half a cup of jelly worms. How many batches of your recipe can you make? So you have 9/4 cups and a recipe needs half a cup. How many batches? 9/4 divided by 1/2. You want to find its reciprocal. 9/4, 9/4, times the reciprocal of 1/2, 2/1. Remember that the 2 becomes a 1, and this 4 becomes a 2. 9 times 1 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. You can make 4.5 batches. With 9/4, 9/4, or 9/4 cup of jelly worms, you can make 4.5 batches of the recipe. More practice word problems. A baby's t-shirt requires 4/5 yards of fabric. How many t-shirts can be made from 48 yards? So we know that 48 yards divided by 4/5, we need to find the reciprocal. So 48 times the reciprocal is 5/4. We know that this can cancel out to 1, and the 48 to 12, 24, 36, 48. We have 12 times 5, 60. If a baby's t-shirt requires 4/5 yards of fabric and we have 48 yards, you can make 60 t-shirts. Peter took a trip of 7 7/8 miles and used 3.5 gallons of gas. How many miles per gallon was used? Well, 7 7/8 was the amount of miles divided by the gallons, 3 1/2. First, you need to convert both of these into improper fractions. 7 times 8, 56, plus 7, 63, over 8, 3 1/2, 7/2, we're using its reciprocal, times 2/7. The 2 and the 8 can cancel out. 2 becomes a 1. The 8 becomes a 4. The 7 and the 63 can cancel out as well. The 7 becomes a 1. The 63 becomes a 9. So we know the top is 9, the bottom is 4. That becomes 2 1/4. How many miles per gallon was used? 2 1/4 miles per gallon. 3/4 of people use the internet, and 9/100 use the library. How many times more people use the internet? Well, 3 1/4 divided by 9/100 times 100 over 9. 3 becomes a 1, a 9 becomes a 3. 4 becomes a 1. Top becomes a 25. We now have the equation 25 over 3. That gives us, goes into it 8 times with 1 25. 8 1/25 more people use the internet then the library. An airplane covers 50 miles in 1/5 hours. How many miles can the airplane cover in 5 hours? Well, first we need to find out how many it can cover in 1 hour. So we use 50 miles divided by 1/5 hours. So we multiply by 5 over 1. 50 over 1 times 5 over 1 equals 250. In 1 hour, the plane can travel 250 miles. We want to know 5 hours. So if 1 hour is 250, multiply that by 5. 250 times 5, 1,250. A plane can go 1,250 miles. Okay, that is all for division of fractions. Go ahead and go back over the practice problems and make sure that you can do them all. So I have to wait until Kirk comes and saves it.
Oh, yeah, I'll let you know.
Mike, what do you want to do? It's 3 o'clock.
We can do another one.
Okay, sure.
Oh wait, is there 6 total or 7 total?
1 second. Well, it's half an hour each.
Yeah, so